when Into the Spider-Verse came out, which was an amazing animated movie, just spectacular Marvel to look at, the ultimate experience for any Marvel movie out there. It brought back and popularized the concept of having many Spider-Men into the same universe. However, Into the Spider-Verse wasn't the first one to do it on electronic medium. Nope, that goes to Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, who tried this concept out. And how well was it? How far did they go? Well, I'm gonna find out for myself. The game inspired Spider-Verse comic book and later on the animated movie, because the writer for this game was the Amazing Spider-Man comic book writer Dan Slott, who then published the storyline in November 2014 till February 2015. Not a long lifespan, but enough to be the inspiration to the Spider-Verse movie nonetheless. Now the game came out in September 2010 for multiple consoles: Nintendo DS, Nintendo Wii, Xbox 360, and the system I played on, PlayStation 3. All of the systems are the same except the DS due to limitations of the hardware and slight differences to the Nintendo Wii. Spider-Man Shattered Dimension was made by Beanox and published by Activision. They had the Marvel license, which later on made a couple more Spider-Man games, like the sequel and the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and the Marvel team decided to make Beanox their new game lead designer for future Spider-Man games. Well, look how that turned out. Thank God for Insomniac. But the license was expired for Activision and was pulled off from online stores like PSN and stuff. Spider-Man Shattered Dimension is a linear action beat-em-up style game. It isn't open world at all, so it might put some people off since most of the better Spider-Man games are open world. You know what, think of it like Spider-Man for the PlayStation, going from level to level, and in this game you can choose which order you can play it, but it isn't practical since it doesn't matter which one you choose, and you don't want to pick the good levels and play the okay ones later. The game premise is that you control 4 unique Spider-Men from different dimensions with different gameplay styles and different graphics, which is fantastic and a nice change of pace. Like the Amazing Spider-Man has cel-shaded design to resemble more of a comic book feel from the old comic book days. The Noir Spider-Man has an old 1950 movie effects. The level is dark to accompany the atmosphere of this dimension. Kinda reminds me of Spider-Batman. Very dark, gritty and brutal. Spider-Man 2099 is set in a futuristic electronic environment with flying cars and shit. It's really bright with neon-ish aesthetic, making you feel like you're in a future that isn't far off from now. I mean, newer generation might be able to see if the game predicted the future by having all these things, although they would be super old. And finally, my favorite version of Spider-Man, the Ultimate Spider-Man. The graphic has a modern feel to it, like it doesn't have any gimmick compared to the others, but it's supposed to resemble 2000 version of comic book design. I mean, having all these different varieties of graphics and effects is really awesome. Not once did I feel like, oh, it's the same again and again, because it isn't. However, nowadays I can say that the graphics in of itself needs an update or remastered version, which I highly doubt will happen. The developers also made new villains for this game alongside Marvel Comics, such as Hobgoblin 2099, Dr. Octopus 2099 and Hammerhead Noir. The villains in Shattered Dimension wasn't that bad. I like the choices of each universe having unique version of the same villains, like the Vulture from the Noir universe looks like Nosferatu, and this version of him is terrifying. He's a cannibal that ate Uncle Ben. Like, what the fuck is up with that? It's creepy, but then again, this universe is creepy. Hobgoblin and Doc Ock from the 2099 universe are very colourful. Hobgoblin looks like a machine and Doc Ock has 10 arms instead of 8, so she isn't an octopus in a technical sense, but her humour was on point, a great villain in this universe. The Ultimate Spider-Man villains I experienced in the PlayStation 2 Ultimate Spider-Man with Electro, Carnage and Deadpool, which was a weird choice, but hey, I'll take it. His level was fun, and the Amazing Spider-Man has a classic bad guy with the classic looks like Sandman and the Juggernaut. I didn't like the voice acting for Spider-Man. The only good one was Ultimate and Noir versions. The humour was awful with Spider-Man. Only the villain side was good, like Doc Ock and Electro, but the voice dialogue in-game was just on repeat over and over again, overlapping with one another, and it just got to a point where I just wanted to mute the game. The jokes that Spider-Man trying to pull are just cringe. He's trying way too hard to be funny when it should come naturally. Case in point, when I tell a joke and I finish up with, see what I did there? No? Aww. Being self-aware isn't humorous. It might be for some, but not for me. I think Neil Patrick Harris was the voice actor for the Amazing Spider-Man, but to me, he didn't sound like Spider-Man at all. The gameplay portion of the game isn't that good at all. I mean, the only good thing that came out of it was Ultimate Spider-Man combat, when he plays him, and the Noir stealth part. So the gameplay for all 4 are different, starting with Noir Spider-Man. This Spider-Man is fragile, like when NPCs spot you and shoot at you, you will die in a matter of seconds, unless you run away. So the best way to tackle this is to stay in the shadows and pick them off one by one. Every level for Noir is different and challenging, mainly the Goblin mission because fireworks goes off every minute and the area lights up, revealing yourself to whoever is looking in the direction that you're in. This part was tedious as I was getting called left, right and center, but the combat in of itself is basic, light and heavy attack with a bit of mix up here and there. You do get to fight in certain parts, but the best thing about Noir Spider-Man is the stealth section. It felt like Arkham but not as good though. Most of the time when you're trying to do a takedown, or when you're on the wall or perched on wires, the camera doesn't listen to you and you have to wrestle with it just to see the prop up, and on the ground it's the same. If you slow, the NPC turns around and spots you for an easy kill, or you softlock.
I ain't getting paid enough for this guff.
Luckily, restarting the last checkpoint will save the day. Even bosses have puzzle elements to them. Like Hammerhead, you avoid the lights and enter the shadow. Vulture, you attack, dodge and use the light to blind him. And Goblin, you attack, dodge and use a shadow. Each bosses are different and challenging. Keep in mind, most of the bosses will have second phases, becoming stronger and having new abilities. Ultimate Spider-Man is so damn good. The combat is satisfying as all hell, because you get to use a black suit, and that is what makes him stand out from Amazing Spider-Man. You have a rage meter to use. Once unleashed, you become unstoppable with so many combos and the hard-hitting moves to pull off, and the more you hit the enemies, the meter slowly fills up when you're in rage mode, making the best part of the gameplay last longer. And that is the uniqueness of Ultimate Spider-Man. The combat, easily one of the best out of the 3 spiders. 2099 Spider-Man combat isn't that good as Ultimate Spider-Man, but it's better than the Amazing Spider-Man. This version 2099 can slow down time for a brief moment to either dodge missiles or hit a barrage of attacks. This version of Spider-Man has a free falling section where you control the movement and speed of Spider-Man and dodge any obstacles in your way. This part at first was enjoyable, but later on, if you don't upgrade the slow-mo meter, it becomes a pain, especially the last mission of the game. So in summary, the combat is second best, he has unique powers and a new gameplay with free falling. I'd say for me, 2099 Spider-Man in terms of gameplay is my third favourite, and lastly the original Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man. He utilizes the webs when he uses heavy attacks to be more innovative, but that doesn't matter since the Ultimate Spider-Man, the black suit does it so much better. And this Spider-Man is the weakest in terms of gameplay and anything else. He's bland, he isn't funny, and the combat had potential if not for the stupid hitbox detection. Like, I'm doing a combo that doesn't even register the hit, or the NPC blocked the attack, and when I counter attack they don't even react to the damage I'm doing, because there's a guy with a shield, and when you have to attack from behind, most of the time it works, but when it doesn't it's infuriating, because you know why? It's because whoever designed this is stupid. Why would he implement a lock-on feature with the block button? The amount of time Spider-Man was dodging firearm was insane. Like, if they shoot one bullet, Spider-Man does some Matrix shit and you can't skip the animation. So when there's a horde of NPCs to fight you, you lock onto one individual and the camera focuses on him and you can't see anything, and then you get blind spotted. It was dumb and stupid. It should have been a separate button layout for the lock on and block. And that's not all, the input fell off in combat. So with that mixed in with the issue I said, my god, it was bad. Juggernaut level was the worst because there's too many horde of enemies. I couldn't even jump properly. Pressing the jump button a second later, Spider-Man jumps, and trying to double jump was impossible. So when I tried to jump over a boss attack, like the Doc Ock boss battle, I just had to be really good at sparing my health. One thing this game loves to do in boss fights is shoving the camera in your face, first person style, which I don't understand. You see the ugly character model and clear textures up close, plus you use an analog stick to punch them. Like, is this all of a sudden EA Fight Night? And one thing, I don't know if the fighting section is timed. Like, the next room opens up while there's still enemies around me to clear out. Also, I experienced a glitch at the end of the level. I killed the minion so he should disappear, right? Well, no. He was still active and I got bum rushed and died. I couldn't even lock on. What a joke. Now that I got that out of my chest, the Amazing Spider-Man felt like a tutorial. Spider-Man shows you how the game works. You can web zip, web swing, have spider sense that sometimes is useless in combat, and you see interactive things in case you're stuck on a level and don't know what to do. You can upgrade all 4 Spider-Men, unlocking more combos and attacks, extending the health bar, rage meter or slow-mo meter, and unlocking costumes. The upgrade system is kinda strange, because you have to complete a challenge in order to unlock more things, and in total there's 180. There are hidden collectibles like finding giant spiders. I have no idea what they unlock though. And that's it. Enjoy playing as the other 3 Spider-Men. Now then, Ultimate Spider-Man is my #1 favourite. For the gameplay, second is Noir, third is 2099, and in last place is the Amazing Spider-Man. One thing I like about the gameplay is that it doesn't feel repetitive at all. If you think that, then you're playing a new Spider-Man with new mechanics. The levels don't feel overwhelming. It took me around 25 to 30 to even 40 minutes to complete a level. It never felt stale. The only part I was dreading was playing as the Amazing Spider-Man, because he didn't have anything at all. When I was talking about the cameras, input delay and lock-on feature, I mean, in the Ultimate Spider-Man part, when in rage mode, it pretty much negates everything, and when I activate it, no one can reach me. The Noir part is mostly just trial and error, and in 2099 Spider-Man, I can slow down time if I'm ever in trouble, but my experience have been good. I don't hate the game because of one Spider-Man. That's just being stupid. So how was the story, since Dan Slott is the writer that eventually inspired the Spider-Verse movie and wrote the comics? The story starts like this. Once upon a time, a mysterious Mysterio busts in a museum and tries to steal the tablet of order and chaos. Spider-Man intervenes, punching the tablet that Mysterio was using to protect himself, but the tablet shatters to pieces and its fragments are now in different dimensions. Madam Web is kinda like the Overseers, and she grants Ultimate Spider-Man the abilities to use a black suit without being consumed by it. She gives Noir Spider web abilities and gives 2099 Spider Sense. She explains the situation to Spider-Man that 17 fragments are in 4 Spider-Man universes and she needs their help to restore the balance to the multiverses. The tablet grants whoever uses it immense power, like in Order, Kraven the Hunter gains superhuman strength and speed in the Amazing Universe. Then in the Noir Universe, Hammerhead fuses Tommy guns to his hand. Now that he's tasted power, he wants to overthrow Osborn. However, Noir Spider-Man stops his plans. In 2099 universe, Hobgoblin uses the fragment to boost his psi powers, and in Ultimate Universe, Electro absorbs energy from a dam to grow larger and ever more powerful. Sandman increases his sand powers to take over Quarry in the Amazing Universe. The Noir Universe, Vulture, Uncle Ben's killer and a cannibal, plus Osborn right hand man, gains the power of teleportation and the award for being the ugliest one of them all. 2099 Universe, Scorpion steals the fragment from the public eye and uses it to make Little Scorpion and hopefully cures his monstrous appearance. In the Ultimate Universe, Deadpool shows up with his own reality show, Pain Factor. Peter wins the show only to get the fake one. Then Deadpool uses the power to clone himself. Luckily his humor is still intact. Spider-Man returns to Madam Web with the 8 fragments they collected. Then Mysterio learns that there are more fragments out there and kidnaps Madam Web and threatens to kill her now that his powers aren't just illusions. So with that being said, Juggernaut is being chased by Silver Sable and unknowingly to him, he picks up the fragment and you have to hunt him down and hopefully beat him up. In the Amazing Universe, the Noir Universe, Osborn uses the fragment to become the Goblin and Spider-Man has to go through a carnival to get to the Goblin and he gets the award for being the second ugliest of them all. 2099 Universe, Spider-Man finds Dr. Octopus, the head of Shadow Alchemax division. She plans on using the fragment to create a powerful reactor, and the last fragment is in the Ultimate Universe where S.H.I.E.L.D. scientists fuse the fragment with Carnage and he escapes, killing everyone. Well, he's ultimately stopped by Spider-Man. Now all the fragments have been collected, Spider-Man returns to Mysterio where they both have a brief confrontation. Then the tablet reassembles itself, which then Mysterio absorbs completely, becoming a god, shattering reality and trying to make his own. Madam Web summoned all 4 Spider-Men to try to stop him, and this part you use all the Spider-Man gimmicks, like Noir Spider-Man uses stealth and hides in the shadows. This gameplay reminds me of Scarecrow in Batman Arkham Asylum. Honestly, it's like copy and paste. 2099 Spider-Man used free falling. That is honestly way harder than it should be. Ultimate Spider-Man is a gauntlet, and in Amazing Spider-Man you fight horde of enemies and finish him off. Now that the multiverse is restored, all the Spider-Men return to their respective universes and Mysterio is taken to prison by Amazing Spider-Man. The story is narrated by the great late legend Stan Lee, which put a smile to my face hearing his enthusiasm of his creation. There's a post-credit scene though, which I wasn't expecting, in where Spider-Ham shows up hoping to save the day, but he is late to the party. The design of Peter Parker is ugly. Thankfully the movie did it justice. And that's my review for Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions for the PlayStation 3. Now I can kinda see why this game was a pillar for a successful Spider-Verse story out there. Yeah, it's not the best Spider-Man games I've played, but it's not the worst one either. I love the gimmicks for all 3 Spider-Men and I love the villains that the developers chose. You know, seeing unique variations of the classic Spider-Man villains, like the Noir and 2099 Dimensions. The gameplay wasn't the best. The only good thing came out of it was Ultimate Spider-Man, you know, using his black suit. When you play this game, it's kinda short, roughly around 6 to 7 hours depending on what difficulty you chose. I played it on normal. And here in the UK, Shattered Dimension is kind of expensive. I've paid £22 for it. And to give a comparison, when I bought Nier, it was about £40. So I guess the game didn't do well financially, or it just made the mark to garner a sequel, Edge of Time. Well, I've been AnimersiveXP. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully you see me in the next video. Bye bye.
So, what'd I miss?
What the?
Nuff said, kids. Nuff said.